Hi, and welcome to ChatMeter's latest webinar. Today we are going to cover 3 big reasons why multi-location businesses need local pages. So first off, speaking, my name is Cynthia Sainer. I'm the Vice President of Marketing here at ChatMeter. And joining me today is Susie, who is specifically on our customer service team and really is one of our pages experts when working with customers. So Susie, we're really happy to have you on the line today.
Thanks so much. Hi, you guys. I'm so excited to be talking with you today and going over this information. We have some really interesting data on local pages to be sharing with you.
Yeah, so let's jump first into our agenda. So we're going to cover 3 main things. The big reasons why, right? So pages are not new. Lots of businesses have pages. It would be funny if we came out and said, you know, pages are revolutionary, but why does it matter now? Because there are things that have changed out in the digital space that suddenly have reprioritized the need for pages. And we want to walk through that with you so that you understand how your business can leverage local pages to get better rankings and better coverage and be prepared for voice. We also then will go into a little bit of the anatomy of a good page. So what makes the great content to actually allow these things to happen? And then Susie's going to take over at that point and talk about actually how to get started and how we build them and how you would prepare to be taking on local pages for your brand at scale. So let's start with the big 3 reasons. So the first of those goes back to just the core of offering a good customer experience. I hate to say this, but the reality is a lot of our customers don't engage first with our own websites anymore. They're talking to Google, right? If they're using a mobile device, if they're doing a voice search, even if they're just going into the navigation, Google is that first step of the experience towards your brand. And GMB has really grown in its prevalence of having that coverage and being that first stop for your clients. So you have to make all of this seamless. So if someone lands, we've used a client here as an example. So if I landed at Save-A-Lot's location in Colorado Springs, you would want to then route that directly to the specific spot that is near where they are so that you get that interactive experience so that if they do want to dive deeper and to see more about your pages, then they can. It also creates a link connection between the two, so it's building that authority and confirming that data because the data you would see in one place would be the data that you would see somewhere else as well. The next would be improving search rankings. So the example would be obviously you want to come up no matter what someone's typing related to your products or services. You want your location pages to come up in top position. This does not change. We just get more and more sophisticated. And the reason why we bring up those local search rankings is really because of option number 3, which is voice. So each page needing to be optimized for your brand for voice search, which really, if you think about this, this becomes a very tiered structure. You want to create local pages not only for your location, but also every element of what you offer at that location. So they're almost like little mini sites inside of your larger site, so that if someone goes in and types in, you know, the option of, you know, let's say for local pages and voice search, I want to go in and say, you know, for a grocery store, I'm going to go in and ask a specific question about grocery store. We want to be sure that that's covered. And what I mean by this is that you have to understand that as we move towards voice, most of the searches will not be about your brand specifically. So in this case, with Albertsons, they are only pulling up 550,000 average monthly searches on Google. However, there are 3,350,000 average searches for the word grocery store. And if someone's going in on voice and says grocery store near me, or where's the nearest grocery store, is the grocery store still open? All of these voice-like questions that tend to be that natural language that we ask when interacting with a voice device, which includes our mobile phone, you want to be sure that you're covered that way. And so the way you can do that is this obvious example is grocery stores, but pharmacy, if I look at a grocery store, florist, butcher, all the different departments that they have that are related to the services provided. And you can even go into those keywords deeper to talk about unbranded things at every level within the store. If you have a photo department and they have a lot of services that they offer, you would want to type that in so that someone thought of you as a grocery store that offers full service photo services. Not everyone does. Those are all areas that you would want to build out. So just to sort of recap, you want that seamless customer experience. So the local pages allow you to connect all your other listings out to those pages. It builds authority to Google, which allows you to rank better. And then by utilizing keywords, you've prepared your business properly for voice at every single location that you have at scale. So that's the summary part, but let's get into now, what does a page really look like? What makes a great local page? So it starts with location, obviously. So you want to make this experience easy for the consumer in multiple ways. You want to be able to automatically geolocate. So knowing where someone is, it's going to feed up the locations that are closest to them, so you can see where things are. Mind you, we looked up things in Colorado, so yes, this grocery store is 800 miles from San Diego, but so I might not go there. But I could also, let's say, go in by city and state and my zip code and type in where I'm at, so that I can change that if I happen to actually be in Colorado Springs right now, but my computer somehow is sending a signal saying I'm in San Diego. Additionally, adding in Google Maps so that you can integrate and show that visual experience, which would allow the consumer to function to find their location. You want to offer relevant contact information and today's hours, so whatever that moment of need instantly is, they're open till 9, and then their phone number so that you can contact them. That's the basics. But really, that's where I feel like a lot of pages stop. And really, what gets into a great local page is all the other content that you can feed up and give to your customers. Think about that as customer seamless experience. What else would someone want with your business? Now, we're sticking with the same brand all the way through so that you can build this out to get that idea. But we can go into any department and any industry and any company, service or location, and talk about what would be an appropriate page content for you. In this scenario, you want to actually give your expanded store hours. So while it started with small, then it actually shows all the hours. So if someone was planning on going tomorrow instead of today. And then also for location-specific information, you want to know what types of way do they handle payment. If I need to pay by EBT, I want to know that this company can handle that. Or if I'm actually still dealing with a checkbook, which a lot of people still are, you want to know that they will actually accept my check as a form of payment. Also, all the promotions and coupons. Grocery stores are very big on this, right? So you want your circulars to be integrated into your page so that the consumer can get that seamless experience to see all the things going on in the local store. And most importantly, if there are local coupons, any coupon tools that you have should be connected to your local pages. Again, it builds authority for the links both directions, and it makes for an easy consumer experience. And then last but not least are those really obvious navigation buttons, which are designed for the mobile consumer, which we know is the direction we're all heading, is call and get directions. So if I do need to interact or find my way to that location, in this scenario, we have clear call to actions. In your business, that might be get a quote, or that might be book an appointment. It all depends on the industry. In a grocery store scenario, it's call or tell me how to get there. Then we get into the more fun stuff. So now what else could you put into a page? And this is where you really want to build up your authority for a great local page. So in this scenario, we have reviews, right? So you can actually add reviews to your page that you have asked firsthand, that you can add pages in. We also suggest that you do photos If, depending on your environment, you might want to actually list out your store manager and profile some of your employees at that location. Fantastic if you are doing anything related to a service inside the business. So if you are a salon and you have multiple operators that work in your location, you could actually have secondary pages to profile each of them. You could have the store managers if you might have a retail that you want to actually profile that person. If you're a bank and you want to profile your lenders, you can do that as well. Really, the options are endless in any industry, and we can work with you to kind of dream what that would look like. But all of that builds that local authority. And so if someone is typing the name of their stylist, they would still find you through your page if you were the salon that had that coverage. We suggest integrating with social media. We'll also suggest integrating all of your products and department pages throughout to build that authority between these pages. And then most importantly, as we talk about the back end, schema markup that's designed for voice. We will work to go through any of those, and any page design should now be marking things up appropriately to tag for voice. And then other things that might happen locally, events. Personally have seen some great events at the location that even in a retail environment, for example, I saw that Nordstrom Shoes in my area was offering shoe tying lessons for kids in their shoe department.
That's cute.
How cute is that,
That's
right?
Adorable.
And it's adorable, and it's right inside of their local page promoting that to local consumers. And so if you actually were thinking, how do I teach my child how to tie shoes, you could, if you're in the area of that location, those events, if properly tagged, would come up. You can do that for almost any type of event. Grocery stores can come up with events. Financial services do, how to get started in investing events. There's so many ways that you could think about the long tail search someone would do and pull that back to events. You could host webinars like us and just teach your customers cool things about pages, right? Events are whatever you want to make them. Also promotions and banners. And then I personally love appointment scheduling and any sort of other integration. Lead capture, local content. I personally think that any site that can personalize and localize the pages to the community is great. I've seen some really good restaurant pages around downtown San Diego that profile the gas lamp or profile Padres or profile something that's going on right there in the community. When you land at their local page, even though they're a national brand, you know that you've hit the downtown San Diego location. So those are so well done, and we want to encourage our clients and prospects to do localized content. So let's see, at this point, I think, Susie, I'm going to hand this off to you. And the one thing I forgot to mention in the very beginning of this webinar was sort of housekeeping. Please, we will do a Q&A session at the end. So if any of these questions come up along the way or you have any ideas, we usually give about 5 minutes Q&A on the back end. We'll be happy to answer any questions you have about good local SEO and how to put them into pages. So please, we see a lot of people on the line, and I'm sure that you have a lot of questions. So don't hesitate to type those in, and I'll be back at the end to go through those with Susie. So Susie, I'm going to hand this off to you.
Perfect. Hi, you guys. Well, I think Cynthia did a great job going over the anatomy of local pages. So we're going to dive into how ChatMeter builds these out and what we require on our end. Before I really dive into that, though, I just want to mention to you why we take such a special interest in your local pages. And that's because ChatMeter is all about your local SEO. So I'm hoping most of you already have a listing management service in place, or maybe you're managing it on your own. Keep in mind that we do have our own white glove listing management service as well. So if that's something you're interested in, definitely talk to your customer success manager. But listings make up about 50% of Google's algorithm in determining how you're going to rank out online. So larger provider sites like Google will be looking at your local pages to see if that data matches what's on your local listings. And this is important because they're determining whether you're a trustworthy business. So the more you match, the better you rank, and the more business to your door. So with that being said, what we need on our end to start building out those location pages is the data of each of your locations. We'll work with you to gather that data so that way you have one single source of truth for all of your page information. And if you're already working with ChatMeter, we have most of that data to begin with, so it's a very simple process. If you're using us for listing management, you'll also have the ability to not only update your listings from within the ChatMeter dashboard, but that'll also update your local pages as well. So one single area to dive into to address both of those different areas is fantastic. We're also going to be working with you to make sure that your pages match your national website. So maybe you're changing your website design. We can definitely discuss what that looks like with you. We'll have a couple of different design reviews with the right people on your team to determine what design is going to work best. And once we get that nailed down, we'll go ahead and start building out those pages for you. We'll also be structuring these pages so that way you can be found in both city, state, as well as the local level. Our goal is to have your listings and your local pages show up in as many of those top 10 search results as possible, and hopefully push those competitors out of that first page to begin with. We can provide you with simple instructions if you're going to change your URL. Maybe you don't have location pages already. We can give you some suggestions on good URLs to use. Otherwise, we can help you with updating your subdomain or subfolder. We also, something really neat is that we do build out all secure URLs. We'll provide that SSL certificate. It's not something that you have to do on your own. I don't know if you guys are aware of this, but secure pages are really a big deal, because if you don't have a secure page, Google's going to go ahead and flag that page for visitors, and they may not continue on to view your content. So that can deter them from actually seeing what's on those pages.
I saw that happen just the other day, where you landed at a page and it immediately said, warning, this may not be secure. And I will say at this point, we're so far along with secure pages that I paused for a moment and went, do I really want to go look at this page, yes or no? So boy, if you aren't doing secure pages and HTTPS, I strongly encourage anyone on the line to modify your pages, because Google is really making that consumer experience terrible at this point.
Yes. And I know Cynthia touched on this earlier, but we do have dozens of ways that you can integrate your own content into these local pages. She gave some great examples, but just to kind of reiterate, integrate your Google Analytics. We can help you provide some personalization. So if it has an API, we can connect to it. Maybe you're a restaurant and you want to have a way for people to be able to book a reservation. This is a great place where you can put that reservation booking. Maybe you're a loan officer and you want to have a calendar link where people can book their appointments. Or any industry, you want to showcase any location-specific events or promotions that you have going on. This is a fantastic place to be able to do so and really get that local content in there that Cynthia was talking about earlier.
I think that's the one key thing here, right, is integrate, don't recreate, right? So if companies have systems in place already, like, no, I would be shocked if a salon does not have an appointment booking system, or a restaurant doesn't have a reservation system. Don't put those in two places that aren't the same tool. It's all about software integration. So OpenTable has an API, Uber has an API, right? Every appointment tool I've ever seen has an API to connect them in. It's so easy to make this turnkey, and we've seen that so far with our customers. So just look at whatever your customer experience is. Even the circulars for the grocery stores, like, they have a tool for that. So just simply integrate that in so that the content gets repurposed. You're not recreating it all over again.
Yeah. And people are so used to that type of experience now. I know my friends and family, they tell me they won't even visit a restaurant if they can't make the reservation online. They don't want to have to pick up the phone to call. They want to be able to go to that page. Anymore. They want to go to the page and book it.
That's fair.
So with ChatMeter supporting your local pages, you'll have one single source of truth that pushes out everywhere. So changes you make to your data in our dashboard, that will be pushed out to both your listings, if you're using us for listing management, and your local pages. So one place where you can manage everything. Keep in mind, using our dashboard, you can track your local pages and see how you're ranking on specific keywords. You can do a pulse check on how you're comparing with your competitors and manage your reputation across several review sites, social. So there's a lot you can do all in one central area. And not to brag, but you'll also have a fantastic customer success manager like myself that'll meet with you monthly to make sure everything's going smoothly, and also quarterly to ensure that you're getting a good pulse check on performance. So with that, we definitely want to encourage you guys to take a look at our website. We have a free brand audit. Just check it out at chatmeter.com. See how you score. Find out how you're doing on that.
Yeah, we actually have a way that you can run that instantly to know how your brand is doing in 5 locations. So if you are not currently using ChatMeter, which obviously if you are, don't go fill out a form on our website, just use ChatMeter, and you can see how your brands are doing. But the first thing to really assess local pages and local SEO is to say, how am I ranking currently and what are the opportunities? Because you will want to run a brand analysis to understand your local ranking, how your listings are doing, and how your reputation is doing. Google looks at all of these as signals to point for authority and for ranking. And the whole idea of local pages is that you can dominate page 1 truly if you set this up properly with the right varied departments, varied keywords, varied content that's relevant to your business, all with that hierarchical authority within your corporate brand. So with that, what we'd like to do, we always promise these are half-hour webinars so you can get in and get on with your day. We're going to open up the questions. Give us a second while we read through these. Let's see. Okay, so our first question here is, we're a service business. How do you suggest we handle a locator when a map pin might turn off a shopper? So that's a good question. Service businesses can still absolutely use locators. Now it depends what kind of business you are as to whether or not you would want to show their location inside of it. So service businesses that maybe have a tight radius, having a location actually suggests, with a map pin, would suggest that they're close by. If I think about the county of San Diego, and if the business has a map pin in North County and I'm in Central, I might not call them. And so a map pin would not be an appropriate thing to do. You might not want to use a map. You might want to use more of a query that says, tell me your zip code, and then you feed up the proper business and with a map that says serving this area so that they understand that you have businesses that are covering the entire thing. The next question is, how do you manage a franchise for content on local pages? How do you control and what do you give access to? Good question. We love franchises and they are challenging, but yet there's an opportunity to leverage that appropriately. We do have quite a few franchise clients, and essentially what you do is you would control what content you felt appropriate, and that's where that local content gets to be really good. A local franchise might know a lot about that regional location information that I talked about. And so how you would cover that for the San Diego restaurant to show what's going on locally, or the events that are being hosted by that franchise. Those are all things that they could feed into. It's kind of a broad question, but you would want to have some level of giving them access to certain things and not to others. And we do have full workflow that you could authorize that. No different than review response or listing management or any other tool. This is just another thing to think about in your content structure. Okay, let's see. When ChatMeter does this, you create these location pages on our website, correct? Yes, absolutely. The whole idea is that you would have a locator or our stores or where we're located button on your website that would point out. We would manage these pages on your behalf if you use ChatMeter as that service and build them out. Why we tend to do this on behalf of our clients versus having them done internally just has to do with the structure of localization of content and the fact that we have this content inside ChatMeter. This allows you to repurpose that content where appropriate. And one of my favorite examples is that, ChatMeter uses local rankings and understands what your competitors are doing in every location. That's data that you can directly use to put into the content of your pages to help you improve that ranking. So you start with a baseline in the beginning, and then you would build that over time. We'd work with your IT department. That's where the subdomain comment came in, because there's another question here on subdomain versus subdirectory. We would work with your IT department to integrate directly into your site. And honestly, subdomain or subdirectory, either one works. I mean, the difference is locations.yourbrand.com versus https yourbrand.com/locations. That's the difference. Either can be done. Usually your CTO cares which one it is. And that has to do with security, and we can work with that on either direction. Let's see, I'm not sure how these location pages fit within the structure of a website. Are they treated like landing pages? They are both directions. That's a great question, Michael. So you would have it, if I landed directly into your page and I went in and said yourdomain.com, it would be on the home page as a locations, store locator, or pick whatever your business is, and you would start from the top tier and work your way down. That's not the real use case that we think is the big opportunity here, though. They tend to be local landing pages, meaning that they came in through Google My Business, they came in through Bing, they came in through Yelp, they came in through Facebook, they came in through a voice search query of some sort on an unbranded keyword, and then they landed at that very specific local landing page that has the authority of all of those pages supporting it, but likely the consumer will land at one. If that doesn't make sense, Michael, send another question. But the idea is it's local landing pages at scale. Let's see, another question. Is there any way to claim a brand new business listing other than snail mail? Lily. Yeah, there is, but I mean, it really depends on the structure. I would love to get Tracy, our listing expert, to give you more details, Lily. So I'll have her touch base with you on different strategies for listing claiming. It depends on the size of the business and how you're claiming the listings. We do have ways where we're not doing snail mail anymore for certain brands, but it does kind of vary. And unfortunately, when you're not specifying Google or which directory, so it's a loose yes with there are some caveats. So we'll follow up with you to get into more details. Let's see. For reviews, I see your example has one from Google. Do you know the etiquette or legal around displaying Google reviews on your website? That's a great question. It's actually kind of controversial. I don't recommend a lot of review posting that you don't collect first party, although there are sites that will do it in multiple ways. You have to display all or nothing. You cannot gate, you cannot vary that, and Chatmeter has been very strong on not wanting people to do any form of review gating. Your cleanest way with Google is to do first-party review collection and display on your page. You can display it in other ways, and that continuously changes in their authority that we've seen over time. But Daisy, I'm happy to give you more details on that one. We have several different areas that we've seen build out on that. Oh, there's more questions coming in. Okay, let's see. Hold on one second. Let's look through. How do you know what keywords to use on a local page? Susie, you want to take that one? Sorry, I'm answering all the questions.
I think with keywords, I mean, that's going to be similar. If you're already using Chatmeter, we collect some keywords to see how you're performing locally on your local listings. You can also track that same information for your local pages within Chatmeter under our rankings tab as well. Typically, we're going to recommend keywords that are more direct. For instance, if you're a grocery store, you don't want to just put chicken as a keyword because that's very big. You could pull up restaurants. Who knows what you're going to get with that kind of a search result. But suppose if you're a restaurant and you say maybe your signature dish.
Yes.
Thank you. Could not find that word. Is some sort of steak. Then you would want to say best steak in whatever city you're part of, San Diego, for instance. Yep. And that would be a more defined keyword that you could use.
Yeah, the difference would be how deep do you go in a keyword, right? If someone's looking for a happy hour, do you specifically call out a mojito and all the different drinks, or do you go in and say happy hour specials, happy hour near me, brunch near me, all those types of things, like craft beer,
Certainly.
broad categories usually, versus it's unlikely that somebody's going to write in Cabernet Sauvignon near me. Right? That's probably, or maybe someone would.
You may also want to enter in, if you're in a broad city like we're in San Diego, you would want to say a specific area within
Neighborhoods.
San Diego.
Absolutely.
Downtown San Diego to specify, because if I'm looking all of San Diego, I mean, that could be miles and miles away from where I'm actually trying to go.
Yeah, that all goes back to that localized content, right? And so naming out landmarks, locations, communities, niche things that really identify that you are a local business. Okay, well, we promised to always end these at 11:30, and oops, it's 11:31. So hopefully everyone got some value out of this today, and we will be sending out the recording afterwards. So that you can share this with your colleagues, and go get a free brand audit if you haven't tested ChatMeter yet. We'd love to have you try that. Okay, so thanks for joining us today. Bye-bye.
Thanks, you guys.